And we need to understand one thing when it comes to identifying the level of interest, or if there is a real interest from this person, if there is a key variable. Without a doubt, it is precisely the willingness or predisposition of this person to want to meet up, to spend time with us. That is to say, there's no comparison. It doesn't compete with others. It doesn't compete with how often they text you, even if they call you, not even with video calls. Obviously, there are degrees here, right? There are frequencies. There are more personal messages that indicate to me, hey, this person is communicating more directly with me and not sending a generic message. And it hits 30. But still, evidently, the star variable, above all, here I'm going to introduce a factor. If, for example, we are getting to know someone virtually through a dating app, especially once the person has met with us for the first time. Because if there is a difference in perhaps the hesitation or the rush or being sure about wanting to meet the person, there are people who need a lot of time to, despite liking you, being, let's say, even though they see potential and are attracted to you, they need to know you a bit more before wanting to take the step to meet. And I see this as normal. But if we have already met with the person, or if it is someone we have met in an environment, whether it's at a party, someone from work, an acquaintance, a friend, that is to say, we haven't met this person virtually, but we have already put a face to them. This is the variable that influences the most, and we can't deceive ourselves. That is to say, it is not comparable to others. Because for me, when I truly like someone, I make time. I want to be with the person. Just the mere company of this person provides me with pleasure. I am happy, I am content, I am euphoric in the company of someone who truly motivates me, attracts me, and whom I like. And I want to share as much time as possible within my means. And furthermore, I want things to progress, I want contact. I want kisses, I want hugs, I want everything. So, of course, when we are in a situation where we notice that the other person does not refuse communication, yet they are not always the same, this usually combines with somewhat inconsistent behavior, right? And here there are degrees. There are those who might write to us well for 2 days and not for 3 days. And there are those who some days are very committed and other days we know little about them, right? Here it depends. But as I say, we need to pay more attention to that, to say this person, well, yes, they communicate, but they are not very willing to suggest meeting up. Or even when we are the ones trying to suggest to make plans to find a way, well, they have other plans that they prioritize, right? It's not that they say, no, look, I don't feel like it, but it's more like, oh, I've already made plans with so-and-so. This tells us a lot about the level of interest, because when I like someone, it's one thing if you tell me, hey, look, I can meet on Saturday, but on Saturday I have a wedding. Well, it's an important plan, meaning I'm not going to skip an important event, or if someone in my close family is having surgery. In short, there are, so to speak, excuses, meaning are there reasons or are there excuses? When we have a reason, well, there should be a counteroffer. But when we are faced with excuses, we shouldn't deceive ourselves, I mean. This directly tells us that the person doesn't have a very strong interest, that in many cases we are just an option and not one of their priority options. So in many cases, unfortunately, what we have to do is accept, hey, I'm plan C, plan D, or plan F, but I'm not plan A. And if I believe that I'm plan A because this person is plan A for me, I'm going to end up badly. I'm going to end up very burned. I'm going to end up very hurt. Because what happens? If I believe that I am plan A for you, or want to believe that I'm the only plan there is, that you're not putting much effort, I deceive myself, I end up accepting what you give me and trust that, no. One thing that sometimes happens is that we've learned that to maintain a situation, I have to mirror the other person's interest. But the other person gives me reduced interest because they are spreading their interest, because they have more options, because they don't prioritize me. And I give in the same measure, but in reality, on an emotional level, on an energetic level, on a fidelity level, on every level, I only have this person. So even though in theory we are giving the same, and therefore I come to the conclusion that maybe there isn't someone else, it's a mirage of mine, a reality, an illusion that I have created, and in which I am already going to have a hard time because I will already feel neglected, because I will be anxious, I will be constantly thinking about what I can do, what's happening. I am going to experience it with anguish. So there are two options here. I can deceive myself. I can believe that I am plan A, that I just came from solving a situation like this, as I'm going to teach you to solve, because a client came to me and she was very attached. I will say attached, to avoid labeling it as being in love, because in the end, the label matters to me. 3 peppers, but well, there was already something strong. She was looking where she shouldn't. She was deceiving herself a lot, she believed. She had something much more significant than what I would bet on without losing. That the aforementioned felt on his part. I mean, I had to be very frank here, which sometimes I have to do, and it's very hard for me, but I had to tell her, look, I'm going to tell you the truth, analyzing what I see. You are not his first choice. I wouldn't even say you are his second choice. I would say that as of today, he is merely considering you. Having intimacy, and not even within the options, which here with men and women is a bit different, not even within his options for intimacy. You are the first. I mean, if you approach this from a romantic perspective and believe that this person is in love, the shock is going to be impressive. Because the only thing we can do in these cases to turn the situation around is to accept what the reality is, and that is, no, this person is not prioritizing me, doesn't have much interest, and to coldly identify what the other person wants in order to play our cards from a strategic point of view. Of strategist of, okay, I identify exactly what you want from me, because if we are still communicating, you want something. You want something? And many times it's not that complicated. For example, in this case, we will see other examples, but in this case, it was very easy to identify. What did he want? Well, perhaps intimacy. I wasn't his first choice for intimacy, but the maintenance he was doing was a maintenance of, I don't want to close the door that maybe we have intimacy. It's never a bad thing to know that I have an option out there. So we had to play with that, as we did. And here comes the part where I was a bit in a dilemma when deciding whether to make this video or not. But well, in the end, I want to help you, as I say, in many ways. And one of the ways today is to protect you from people who merely want to feed off your attention or take advantage of your willingness, or keep you emotionally hooked without considering how much this affects you and the real opportunities you are being deprived of. Just because at some point they feel like having intimacy. So I'm going to share with you, because sometimes I too can be quite twisted and completely manipulative. As I say, she was very poorly advised. At that moment, she was very upset, crying terribly, because from her infatuated perspective, she had made an approach, a proposal to meet. It wasn't the first proposal, which was declined, which was already starting to show her that, let's say that every time someone stands us up, it becomes harder for us to hold on to the belief. Well, maybe they do feel something. The thing is, they have these plans. What am I going to do? I have to understand that there are more people in their life. And no, but well, she was already getting the plan, and he told her how about they grab a drink, and it turns out he had already made plans with friends. And I told her, look, don't fool yourself. This guy doesn't want to go for a walk with you in the park, this guy. What he wants is, at some point, to have intimacy with you. Let's play with what he wants and not give it to him, but let's let him start chasing you. And we sent him a somewhat strong message, because sometimes when you play, you have to bet a little. Otherwise, things don't work as well, right? Which was the message he wasn't expecting, because they hadn't had intimacy yet in their case, right? And the message is, I want to tell you, verbatim. Just a moment. So as I was explaining, to his message of, I have other plans, with friends, with dad, the message I drafted. To my subscriber, it said something like, yes, I get embarrassed, I admit it, but it doesn't matter. It said, I understand, exclamation. Although he will keep postponing the moment, and in parentheses, winking, tongue out emoji, banana emoji, which we all understand where this is going, close parentheses. It's starting to seem cruel to me, laughing emoji. Evidently, when she read this, she was like, wow, she didn't expect it. She didn't expect it because they hadn't been intimate. And she always approached this from her perspective of, I see you as plan A. I want something romantic. I expect something romantic from you. What I want is a coffee date and a walk with you, right? Suddenly, he even dropped a very sexual bombshell. But of course, what I'm saying is to identify what he wants. Because he didn't want a little walk, he wanted a little coffee. She was left stunned, saying, wow, he really just hit me with that. He postponed the opportunity for something that I like more than she does, right? I mean, something as generous and unexpected as that offer. Of course, what happened? Well, it worked like magic. No, the magic of love, because what she desired wasn't here. It worked the magic of, since you're using me as a plan, and this looks like it's going to end, with me chasing after you, I'll end up justifying that I'm chasing you because you're the great love of my life. And one day, you're going to leave me hanging when you finally meet your mother. Someone, and then you'll move on from me, and I'll be left with a broken heart, thinking that I let the opportunity with the guy slip away. The most wonderful man on the face of the earth, and that I will never meet anyone on your level, when the only thing that made him seem on that level was his lack of willingness, in other words, his no. I'm emotionally unavailable, but I keep you around because I'm so selfish. That someday I might feel like getting involved. Well, it's not worth it. So what we were doing was identifying what he wanted. And using it is to give this a twist to say, okay, I'm not fooling myself anymore. I know what you want. And I'm going to do like you. I'm going to play my cards by giving you the impression that I'm going to give you what you want in an amazing way, but I'm not going to give it to you, which is what he was doing to her, which is, hey, I maintain a communication that leads you to think that one day I'm going to give you a relationship when I'm not going to give it to you. Okay? Well, now I'm going to maintain a communication that will make you believe that I'm going to give you something you desire, but I'm not going to give it to you. And then you're going to come and chase after me. And now you can start justifying yourself, as I was doing until now. Indeed, the message worked. It's magic. He quickly replied that, well, maybe if he got free earlier, he would let her know. Well, my goodness. Suddenly there was the possibility that he might be free that very day. And of course, he let her know. Of course, I had already told her. I said, it's not that he might let you know, it's that he will definitely let you know. The only reason he's not saying, okay, now I will stop meeting with my friends because I want what you've implied, is because it would seem like he made an excuse before. That's the only thing. So he's going to disguise this a bit, but he will let you know. But you are not going to reply, nor will you be available until a certain time the next day. Here we go. Anyway, as of today, he is the one chasing. I still don't know. I would like to tell you that this has ended well. But I still don't know if this is going to end well. What I do know is that many things have happened. From the way she has started to see him. Because accepting the situation also gives us clarity and lets us see the real one. I, on behalf of the other person, that self, which is being more selfish, self-interested, not so mysterious and wonderful, right? Also, how does she feel regarding security in the face of the situation? How is it unfolding? Because as of today, he is a little behind. That makes her, in her security and self-esteem, feel better. And it's true that the magical charm of a super romantic story is no longer viewed the same way, which is good. Because it gives me peace of mind that no matter how this ends, it won't end with her devastated and idealizing someone for the wrong reasons. So from my side, I have that, and I'm quite happy. This is not always, identifying this is not limited to this case, which is a case I like. Moreover, because I believe it's not the only one, it's a case we will see frequently. When a person merely wants intimacy, well, that's very good. But there are more scenarios. For example, there are also, because let's not go with, oh, men, how bad they are, how selfish they are. Men are the worst. They seek intimacy and don't care. Well. I also know many women who are very happy receiving attention, and I have clients of mine who are wonderful, who are a 10, who are incredible men, sensitive, empathetic, but not that one. That one, the girl doesn't like him, but she likes having him there. A bit of, well, I like your attention. I like that you flatter me for when the one who only wants me for what he wants me for fails. I like that you tell me I'm the most incredible girl or the most incredible woman in the world. Or see if I can get something, right? Well, here we also dealt with a case using this technique. And it was, in this case, I identified that she was a bit interested and liked the attention, or was hoping to find someone who would give her princess treatment, which is very trendy. That idea of, I deserve the best. And it turns out that the best is reduced to money. And the way you have to show me that I deserve the best is by spending all your money on me. I do not defend this. I do not share this. It's a philosophy that is spreading. And I think the only thing it will do is undermine what women have fought so hard for in the past, trying to see us as equals. Does it relate? The more equal you see yourself, the better. How did we do it in his case? I mean, you have to make her see that you can offer the princess treatment she's missing out on, and stop chasing after her. And let her be the one who comes seeking this treatment. In his case, how did we do it? Well, we did it by sharing some statuses that weren't even true, but that reflected, let's say, a very luxurious date. That included everything from gifts to a very specific place, to everything like, wow, I took you out and gave you the treatment. That princess treatment with which I had identified that this girl dreamed. And just like in the previous case, as soon as she saw those statuses, the magic was immediate. Because also, when we identify what the other person is looking for and use it, it works quickly. It's a simple trap. They fall like children, right? It's like when I stop believing that you are a fantastic girl, that you're simply stalling because you're taking things slow. And because you want us to get to know each other little by little, because you respect yourself a lot, and I realize that you're merely interested. And on top of that, I set the trap and you fall. Again, his perspective. Towards her, it also changed that charm he saw in her, that sweetness, because it's not the same. Look how sweet you are to look. What are you looking for? My wallet, right? It changed quite a bit. And indeed, as soon as she saw those stories, she thought, what am I missing out on? That could be me. And she started coming after him more. And we combined it, because this part is important. That is, the person will seek you out when faced with the trap. But if, when faced with the trap, you also fall completely because of your eagerness, that is, let's say the other guy falls, and he says, oh, I'm free with my friends. And she says to him, okay, then we'll meet. And now what? Do you give him what you said you would? And that's where it ends, right? Transaction? Well, no. That is, you have to combine this with, I set the bait, and the moment I set the bait, you will start doing it. And I combine it with the fact that, from then on, I am the one who is hesitant. I am the one saying, no, not now. Now I am busy. Now I have to get it right. I have which. This works very well. It works very well, as I say, for two things. To open our eyes. And to turn the table so that the person we were chasing starts chasing us. Sometimes this pursuit, as I say, we have to constantly justify our actions and give them a reason, right? So this pursuit sometimes leads to them developing feelings because they start to justify, hey, if I'm making efforts, it's because I like this person, right? They compete with themselves and such. So this can lead to, we can even end up making someone fall in love this way. Now, in other cases, no. We have to be aware that this will remain as ego. And if we slack off or get confused, things get more complicated, okay? So it's very important that above all, you don't lose sight of that part of you that allows you to realize who you're really dealing with. Honestly, I believe that in love, we have to be very clear. One of the things that can cause us the most harm when relating to others is our capacity for self-deception. It's our reluctance to want to see what truly connects us with the person. Don't deceive yourself. Consider for a moment what I want when I like someone. How do I feel when I like someone? What am I willing to do when I have feelings for someone? And consider if the other person is behaving in that way or not. Truly. Well, I hope this video truly helps you. That's why I made it. Stepping a bit out of the usual, even stepping a bit out of my comfort zone, with the example where we address how to deal with someone seeking intimacy. But I do it for that reason. I hope it helps you, that you liked it. If that's the case and you're not subscribed yet, well, in this video, yes, subscribe. I deserve it. Hit the bell so we can see each other again very soon. And until then, as always, I send you a big kiss.